Hey friends, Mirella here, certified life coach, helping you improve the three most important relationships you'll ever have. And that's the relationship you have with your spouse, the one with your family, and the relationship that you have with yourself. Today I'm sharing my top 10 tips to a stronger relationship and marriage, which really are the top 10 things that I wish I knew that somebody had told me before I got married. The truth is, you're not always going to like your significant other. You're not always going to like your husband. You're just not. So what I'm going to share with you are my top 10 tips. These are the things that I've learned in my 20 plus years of marriage. And these are the things that are going to help you make your marriage a success even when the feeling isn't there. I'm also going to share practical ways that you can put each of these tips into practice in your own life. But wait, there's more. Just one last thing. If you want to dive deeper into any of these 10 things, because there is a lot, just know that I made a corresponding video that dives deeper into each of these 10 things. So if you want to dive into that, make sure you check out my marriage series. And I'll also include all the links down below. Let's jump into the 10 things that I wish I knew before I was married. And tip number 1 is that marriage requires ongoing appreciation. I know on the surface it seems obvious. Of course it's obvious that we should appreciate and we should respect our partner. But here's the piece that I learned. Here is the why. As time passes and you get really comfortable with each other and things become really familiar, you start going on autopilot. You get really comfortable with the person and you kind of just stop seeing the things that you were first attracted to, the things that you really appreciated. We get really good at noticing his faults over noticing the good stuff. And suddenly all we want is for him to be the things that he's not. So like I said, at the beginning, you have this hot list of things that you love about him, the things that you appreciate about him, right? And then there's this other stuff, the stuff that isn't there. But over time, our focus tends to become on the things that he's not the things that he is, that suddenly we just simply don't see. We really have to be careful about that and really be intentional on the things that we focus on. He has a lot of gifts and he has a lot of flaws, but over time we start seeing the flaws over the gifts. So we got to continue to be mindful of all the things that he adds to the relationship, not the things that he subtracts. So that's my tip number 1, is to continuously appreciate him and his gifts. And how you might want to do that is through journaling. And I detail this activity in my video. So if you're interested in learning on how to do that, go ahead and click on this video. The second thing I've learned in marriage is to simply not try to change him. Trying to change him by yourself just doesn't work. You can't change somebody who doesn't want to be changed, because real change is an inside job and you don't have control of his insides, what's in his mind and his heart. The only thing that you and I have control over is in what is in our hearts and our minds. It's so easy to find fault in others' flaws that aren't your own, but we have them too. We have to find a way to make peace with his flaws, and that's it. If you're in a healthy relationship with a decent guy who loves you and he cares about you and he treats you well, then you simply have to find a way to make peace with the not so good stuff. So he comes with a little of this and a little of that. Well, we come with a little of this and a little of that. Nobody is baggage free. We got to let the small things go, the things that agitate us, and just know that when you said, I do, he comes as is. That need that we have to change him, my advice to you would be to harness it into the greater need, which is the need to change how we respond to the thing that bugs us about him. Tip number 3 has to do with rules for fighting fair. We know that friction in relationships is normal. You're supposed to have it. It's going to be there. The tension will naturally be there. So the trick is to become very self-aware of what you do in the heat of an argument. Who do you become when you're at odds with your partner? Our tendency is to focus on the other person and their faults, as I said, and why they're being such a jerk. But the truth is that it takes 2 to tango. We have to be willing to look at the dynamic between the two of us. It's not 100% his fault and it's not 100% our fault. So ask yourself, how are you showing up to these tense conversations? What is the dynamic? What is your contribution? Do you easily attack? Are you argumentative? Do you fight dirty? We need to hold ourselves to a higher standard and be accountable for the sake of the bigger picture, for the sake of your marriage long term. Every disagreement or argument is an opportunity for us to pay attention to ourselves, how we're showing up, and are we being the person that we want to be? If you want to learn more about this, and specifically the 4 things that you take with you into every argument, the link will be down below. The 4th tip to a stronger relationship has to do with fun and being intentional about fun. I want you to spend time being friends and doing what friends do, which is inviting playfulness and being fun and laughing with each other, finding fun moments to connect over. Your friendship will be what holds you together for the long haul. So spend time doing what friends do. I don't have to tell you there's no shortage of problems and challenges on a personal level or in your relationship or in your family or just in the world. But that can't be our focal point. If that is your only focus, then you're missing out on the good stuff. Laughter is good. It's not only good for you, it's good for your marriage. So I want you to laugh whenever possible, as much as possible. The more places that you can find a little fun and laughter, the better. Humor is a gift to yourself, it's a gift to your marriage, and it's a gift to your kids. It shows that you have the ability to enjoy life, even when it's not so perfect. Tip number 5 focuses on arguments. Inevitably, you're going to have a disagreement. We talked about that. You're going to be on opposing sides. He's going to want something, and you're going to want something different. So who wins? What I've learned is not to focus on who wins or winning, because if you win, you actually lose. You guys are a team. Marriage is a team sport, remember? It requires cooperation. It requires caring for each other, yielding to each other, giving and taking. We have to learn to work together, even in those sticky situations, and find out what's good for the marriage, not just what's good for me or what's good for you. There's naturally going to be some points of contention between you. This is what I want, this is what you want, but we also have to ask, what does the marriage want? What does the marriage need? The objective should never be, I win and you lose, I'm right and you're wrong. What we need to do sometimes is just to press pause and take a breath and remind ourselves what we have in common. Agreement is what brings you back together. Find as many things that you can agree on as a couple. One of the things that you could say is, let's stop right now and acknowledge that we're a team, that we're in this together. I want what's best for you. I know you want what's best for me. We want what's best for our family and our children. The idea is to be willing to let go of me and to embrace the we. Don't take things so personally, and agree more, listen more, validate more. It's never one side is all right and one side is all wrong. The answer and the compromise is in the middle. Tip number 6 has to do with the importance of staying connected. And this is one of the things that I've learned over time, that it really does take effort to stay connected, because sometimes it seems easier to feel disconnected. So we have to be intentional about this. If you're not choosing or making an effort to stay connected with your partner, there are so many distractions that are going to get in the way and naturally pull you away from each other. We have to be purposeful in where we invest our energy, invested in the right direction, because your energy and time will be occupied by something. What I've noticed that happens over time is life becomes predictable. And so does our communication. It can become kind of bland and boring. So my advice to you is to find ways to connect. And there's 100 things or activities that you can find to do with each other. But the exercise that I want to share with you, again, it's going to be in the follow-up video. The link will be down below. But this is an exercise that I walk you through that helps you connect and reflect on your partner and your relationship. Tip number 7 has to do with growing old together versus growing up together, right? Growing old together is this very romantic notion that we've been together forever. Well, growing up together is a very different picture. Growing up together is acknowledging you are not his mom. You are not his roommate. You're not his casual buddy. You're two people who've agreed to come together and do life together. When you grow up together, it doesn't necessarily guarantee you're going to be happy all the time, or that things are going to be easy. There's stuff that you're going to have to do along the way. There's stuff that you're going to have to learn to do on the way and learn to do together. Growth is the answer. We got to be willing to grow up. And here's my last point. It's an important truth that really fits this topic. Remember that we bring our inner child to this relationship. We bring with us our history, our background, our wounds, our areas that need healing. We're both learning to be each other's support system and lifeline, how to give and how to care for each other, all while we're tending to our own stuff, the stuff that follows you into this relationship. And that's why acknowledging that growing up together is really an important perspective to have. Tip number 8 is the importance of self-improvement. Again, nobody ever taught me that this should be my life's work, that I have a responsibility to do the work, to work on myself, because I take with me into every situation, into every conversation, into every relationship, and that we have impact and influence on other people. Our words, our choices, our behaviors, they are powerful. We have so much power. We have the power to impact others, specifically our spouse, for the good or for not. The biggest thing about self-development is to acknowledge where you are. Not to defend yourself, not to deny where you are, but simply acknowledge where you are, see where the patterns are, and then identify who you want to become or what you want to be for your partner. When we can honestly observe ourselves, watch ourselves, we can see where those areas are where we're not so proud of and go, okay, this is where I need to put my attention because this is what I have control over. If you're looking for ideas where to start, make sure you click on the video that goes with this topic. Tip number 9 is all about forgiveness. And I'm not talking about forgiveness in the big things. I'm talking about the little things. The little things that happen kind of on a regular basis, a daily basis that could easily stack up if we're not careful. So here's what tends to happen, right? We start off as a team. We're two people who become one team, but every time you have a disagreement or a rift or there's tension, you're naturally creating a gap between you. And something's going to fill that gap if you're not tending to it. So what naturally rests in that gap when you're not processing your emotions or communicating with each other in a healthy way? What's going to take root there is bitterness, is anger, is resentment. We can't simply just sweep these things under the rug, because when you sweep things under the rug, those things don't disappear. You're just putting off for later what needs to be addressed now. Forgiveness is a choice. And forgiveness is what releases your partner from that separation, because there's a bringing back, a reconnection that needs to happen in order for you guys to move forward in a healthy way. If you want a happy, fulfilling marriage, forgiving is a much needed practice. Forgive the other person, forgive yourself. Don't hold on to the shame and the guilt. Come back together and reconcile for the sake of your relationship. And tip number 10 is the importance of spending time alone, separate from your partner. It is the medicine that we need sometimes. Just because you're in a relationship does not mean that you have to be together 24/7, right? He's a person and you're a person, and I want you to nurture your individuality. You have different interests and hobbies, and they don't have to overlap. You don't even want them to overlap. Time alone is healthy. It's how you care for your relationship. Spending time with your friends and family, they are also your support system, and they can feed into you and lift you up and care for you, love you in ways that your spouse can't always. Here's what I've learned, that our husbands cannot be our everything. It is not their job. It is not their responsibility. Make space to grow in your own right. Nurture that individuality. Spend some time doing what builds you up and what gives you confidence and inspires you and motivates you. Those are all really good things. And spending time alone isn't about avoiding your partner. It's about finding ways to recharge and refresh so you can come back and have more to give to your family and to your partner. And don't wait until you're falling apart or you have your no energy to do this. Find ways to decompress and to rest every day, every week, every month, and every year. Again, if you want to specifically learn more about this topic, the link will be down below. And that's it, friends. Those are the top 10 things I wish I would have known before getting married. I'm sharing these things with you because I really believe that focusing on these 10 things will help build up, improve your marriage, your relationship, and I would love to hear from you. Would you leave me some comments below? Let me know which of these 10 things stood out to you. What did you find interesting, or what challenged you? And most importantly, which one do you plan to implement in your life? Again, let me know in the comments below. Like this video if you did, and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will connect with you next time.